And I said, thank you. Swami said, the Swami is between you and me. You don't have to show that to them. To them, say thank you. In your heart, you know that I am the doer. So it's this misplaced humility is the kind of when we say, oh no, you sang very well. Oh no, Swami. You spoke very well. Oh no, it's all Swami. I mean, you can do that with close friends, but then what happens is sometimes you just do it because, or maybe that's the right way to do it. It's probably ego to say thank you. It's okay, say thank you, take the credit, but in your heart, know that you pass on that credit to him. A personal relationship with Swami doesn't ever need to be publicized. Doesn't ever need to be publicized. You don't need to show people you're devoted at all. Whether in the Sai Center or outside Center, you don't need to. That is you and your personal relation with God. But outside, Swami told us, say thank you. The same thing when it was Swami's 55th birthday, the first World Conference that I was, because I went to Swami when he was 53 or 54 years old, and he's 55. And he selected a few of us to take care of the VVIPs, the president and a couple of chief ministers and others who had come. He said, you boys have to go and take care of them. So he appointed personal attendants to these people. Go check out if they want coffee in the morning and get all this, make sure. And Baba would say, he is going to judge. He's going to see me through you. You better be proper, behave properly. So he set up all this. You see how he planned his mission. He set us up out there. And he said, you are the messengers. People are going, these people are leaders of the country. They come to Swami for the first time. So behave well. And Swami said, don't go and tell them Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Tell them good morning, thank you. Swami said this. So when you talk of outreach programs and things like that, for me, these are the lessons I take home. It's not about going out there and saying, Swami is God, Swami is avatar. Then they'll be like, okay, just avoid these weirdos. You don't have to. Let your actions speak for yourself, not your words. And I also shared a very nice experience that comes to my mind again yesterday. When we were leaving one summer vacation to go home, actually we weren't leaving, we wanted to stay back for summer vacation. We did most of the time, but that particular time, and I think it was the same time around the World Conference time, Swami said, I have to whitewash the buildings, I have to get everything done, there'll be a lot of work going on, you guys all have to leave, I don't want anybody around. And so we said, no Swami, and there was about 15, 20 of us. He said, no, everybody has to go. In fact, got up and he had a bundle of notes. He picked up 200-300 rupees and put it in each of our pockets. He actually went around saying, hey, show your pocket, go buy your railway tickets and go home. And we knew there was no saying no after that because you took the money. Deal was done. And so, Swami sits on the chair and he says, okay, so what are you all going to do when you go home? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You stayed here for 1.5 years now. What are you going to do when you go home? What do you tell Swami? So one boy said, Swami, I'll attend bhajans. Another boy said, Swami, I'll share my experiences, Puttaparthi with people, and so on and so forth. Everybody decided to be the best picture out there. They said, Swami, we'll do this, we'll do that. Swami was very patient. 4 or 5 boys he heard, and more or less it was the same answer. And then he relaxed back and he said, Katha cheptunanu, let me tell you a story. He said a few weeks ago, a group of people from the nearby village, he calls it Bukkapatnam, okay, went to Kottacheru, there's another village. He says they all went there to watch the Burakatha that evening. And they had a good time. Burakatha is a festival, a village festival, a kind of a folk dance, folklore, where they talk of these epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and they sing and dance and things like that. So anyway, he said they watched the program and it was late night and they wanted to return back to the village. And it was so late. It was dark. It was Ammavasya, Swami said. It was a new moon. And so they lost their way. They didn't know how to get back. And they were constantly, they were talking among themselves, should we go this way? Should we go this way? How do we get back home? And then in the distance, they heard barking of dogs. And somebody in the group said, that sounds like our dogs in the village. It must be in that direction. Let's go in that direction. And somebody else said, wait a minute. I also hear a howl. So no, I don't think that's more like foxes. It may not be dogs. And so Swami said, listening to that sound, there was more confusion, no direction. And so as they tottered along, wondering where to go, Swami said, there was a lamp to which they were drawn, a street lamp. And they walked towards the lamp, and under the lamp, there was this fork in the road, and they knew which path to take. And they went back home. Swami paused at the end of the story. He looked around, and he asked, did the street lamp tell them where to go? We said, no, Swami. Did the street lamp sing bhajans to inspire them to go back home? No, Swami. Did the street lamp give good speeches, inspiring speeches for them to go back home? No, Swami. What did the lamp do? The lamp just did its job of giving light. And in that light, people saw their way. And very beautifully he said, I don't want you to be street dogs. I want you to be street lamps. So being an instrument of Swami is not going out there, planning projects and wondering how can we make this. It's good. All of that is good. But in your heart, you have to be the street lamp. So watching you, your actions, people get inspired. You don't have to tell them who you are, what your belief is. You don't have to tell them who your God is or your guru is or what faith you come from. You don't have to. But your inherent core, which is integrated, your thought, word, and deed, that will speak. You know, in regular communication, only 7% of the words that are spoken is actually communicated, right? It is the vocal tone and other things take another 30-35%, and then the body language takes something else. And so it is the gamut of who you are is what is communicated, not just the words you speak, not just the project you do, or not the placards you carry, or not because you have a label of a picture of Swami on your t-shirt or a print of Swami's logo on your t-shirt that you're actually doing Swami's work. No, you can just wear regular jeans and t-shirt and go out and have fun. But in that fun, they will notice that you draw lines at some places. You maybe because that's what you want to do. And then they begin to respect you for that. That is what makes you stand out in the crowd. That's what makes you a street lamp. And people look up to you and say, hey, I was pretty impressed there, what you said, or what you did, or what you spoke. Hanuman on the other side. The story of Hanuman again. I'm quoting these war heroes, epics who have lasted thousands of years. Hanuman was another beautiful example created in the Mahabharata, written by Valmiki, to send home the idea that a timid, weak monkey can do wonderful things because of his inherent belief that somebody else is working through him. It's not he who is a doer. That was the message. So you can consider yourself weak and timid and like a cracked pot, if you will. You know, there's a story of the cracked pot where the gardener carries 2 pots every day. He fills it from the river and he carries it over the shoulder to water his master's garden. But one of the pots is cracked. And therefore, by the time he reaches there, this pot is always half empty because the water leaks out. And so this pot blames itself. Says, why am I not able to do this? I'm always giving away this gardener is working with me. And see, the other pot is so full and he uses them fully to water the garden. And I'm such a misfit. And then in my stories, pots speak as well. So do animals and monkeys and all that. But then this gardener speaks to the pot and says, why are you so depressed? And the pot says, look at me. I'm just good for nothing. Every day you fill me up, but you're so great. I'm so grateful to that. You're still using me. You're not throwing me away. The gardener says, of course you're useful. And the pot says, yeah, you're saying that to make me feel good. He says, no, come along, see what I've done. I knew you had holes and you had cracks in the clay, and then water would flow. But what I did was I planted beautiful flowers on your side of the path. Look what you have done as I walk every day from the river to the master's house. All these flowers along the path is because water falls from your pot. So you're always used at some point or the other. With all our flaws, individual flaws that perhaps stare at you in your face in the morning. Somebody said, when you look into the mirror, what do you see? You might see some flaws, and that's okay. Accept who you are. You don't have to change who you are. You accept who you are because that's part of the design of this life in your journey. That's what makes it exciting. And your very flaws can actually turn around and become your strengths. So this little monkey was timid, knew at one moment that, wait a minute, it's not my mission. It's not my headache. It's somebody else has lost his wife. I'm just an instrument. I'm going to jump and he's going to work through me. And therefore, he was able to do things which were unimaginable. If we miss that story, and I think most of us did, because now we have big statues of Hanuman, we chant Hanuman Chalisa, and instead of feeling energized, we feel more of a victim. Oh, Hanuman is so strong, I'm so weak. Hanuman, eat more vadas. Oh, you don't want to eat? Okay, I will eat. 108 vadas, and we really have a feast in his name. Somebody told me Hanuman liked vadas. They put vada mala and all that, right? Monkeys eat anything. Why not a banana? But that's too good for health. No, vadas are tastier. So what we do is we create gods, we put them up there, just like we are tending to do with Swami. Putting him up in a pedestal, worshipping him, putting him at a distance, and saying, all right, let me get on back to my who I am, because that's my comfort zone. I like to define myself as weak, and I feel comfortable there. But being an instrument of Swami is understanding that my thought, my word, and my deed can be one. If I'm thinking I am God, I have to start speaking that I am God. And my actions should represent me as God. I know that's a tall order. It might feel like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. I act like God? What do you mean? I know it doesn't make sense. The long path of spirituality doesn't have to all come out and reveal itself to you. When you left in your bus, in that short 11-hour drive from Toronto, you didn't see the entire path. If you did, you would have not left, because you would have seen all the traffic jams and you said, oh my God, no, forget the retreat. Let's have it in Toronto. But you didn't see. What you did was you saw the next turn, and the driver just had the compass on. It said, turn left, turn right, stop here, stop there. And that one step at a time, the path opened itself. It wasn't a rosy path. It slowed you down. It stopped you where you perhaps didn't want to stop. It stopped you where you wanted to stop. I don't know. But then that became an adventure. It became an adventure. The path opens one step at a time in life itself. You don't have to see all of it at one shot. All you have to do is at that point, at that moment, believe it and live in the moment, live in the now, here and now. And in the now, your thought, word, and deed is always the same. And that's what makes you a very powerful instrument. So about 7-8 years after I first said the make me your instrument prayer, and I kept chanting it every day, it became very close to my heart. I would go up in the hills in the night and just sit and meditate and just think of being an instrument. Pray, use me. Allow me to empty my inherent limitations. Because when I was raised, I'm not complaining about my family. I love my family. I love my parents. They're not alive anymore, but I love them. But there's a but, because we were raised in a joint family. And my cousin was just studied with me, was a brilliant guy. And I wasn't. And it was pointed out to me again and again and again and again. Why don't you be like him? Look at him. Look at his great card. Look at your great card. So they had decided, you're not good at math, you're not good at science, you're only fit for this. So it was dinned into me. So even though I talk about overcoming all my limitations, when I look at figures 2 plus 2, I'm like, oh, 2, it has to be 4. Please, it has to be 4. So there's a little bit of nervousness inside, because from my childhood, it was dinned that I'm not good at math, I'm not good at science. Though I loved science, I wanted to do, but maybe a few years I didn't get good grades or whatever. But my point is, where you may have at some level been affected subconsciously because of a relationship, because of a circumstance, because of an experience in life, because of something that happened in your life, in your family, good or bad, leaves deep subconscious impressions in you, and that begins to define who you are. And that is why we have a spiritual practice. That's why we introspect, because we don't want that to be written in a rock. We want that to be written in a sand, that the next wave wipes away that writing. And then your mind is free again for you to write what you want to write, not what somebody else wrote or what some other circumstances wrote for you. You have that energy, you have that power within you. That is what the story of Arjuna teaches us. That is what the story of Hanuman teaches us. And to me, that is what being an instrument of God means. It means that you can't define who I am, because I don't know who I am, because I am an empty vessel through which this divine energy flows. And who is to limit this divine energy? So anything is possible through me. Anything is possible through me. Everything is possible through me. If a vision is presented to me, I take it as it's coming to me because there is a call. I have to answer that call. And it's coming to me because somewhere the universe thinks I have the power to fulfill that vision. And that's why it's even presented to you. Otherwise, it wouldn't even come in your path, in your life, in your consciousness. It wouldn't even come anywhere close to you. So it comes to you, however great that vision is. You know, the dreams that keep you up at night are dreams worth having. Which scares you, which makes you jump out of the, I'm like, what, really? But that's the dream worth living for. Then you make a difference. You make use of this one lifetime that you have. You never know what's going to happen in the next life. You don't know what you were in the past. I know we talk of birth and death and punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam. That's again another Sanskrit for you guys. Being born again, being died. All that is there in philosophy, in theory. We leave that to a deep experience, personal experience. Because if I experience that, I can't convince you. Because you'll be like, oh, okay, all right, we're born again. I get it. Okay, what next? That's only, we cannot understand beyond that. But this life we can. This life I can. The circumstances I am in, I can. But instead of sitting and blaming, I can actually turn that around and use that for my benefit. So 8 years later, when I had to speak in front of Swami again, and I had many opportunities, and then when I came back again, I said, okay, it's been seven years or so, I can say this prayer again in front of Swami. Maybe Swami won't remember. I said it once. Because you normally don't repeat the same thing. Swami will say, what is this? Like a parrot, you're going on repeating the same thing. So, and I really wanted to say that again in front of Swami, in Swami's presence. So after my speech, I said again, make me an instrument of thy peace. And then the next morning, Swami comes up to me. I was in the bhajan hall. He comes up to me, right, and stands right here, and he says, ego. Oh my gosh. I mean, I thought I spoke well, but I wasn't really proud of it. I didn't beat my chest. But I didn't know what he was. He said, who are you to say, make me an instrument of my... Why? Who are you to order me? Who are you to order God? Make me an instrument. Make me a cup of coffee. What is this? Make me. And then he looked at the old VIP, Mr. Narsimhan, who's a yes, always yes, Swami. And he's dangerous because Swami says, no, is it? Yes, Swami. I was like, oh, please give me a break. Don't get me into trouble. See? Because he's the Hindu editor. Who are you to say, make me? Say, may I? May I sit down? May I help you? May I chappu?